Don't scroll, please, just stay. Give me 60 seconds. If after that you want to leave, I'll understand. But stay for 60 seconds because what I'm about to say might be the thing you've been waiting to hear without realizing you were searching for it. Are you still here? Good. Because this isn't easy for me to say. In fact, saying things like this goes against every instinct I've developed over decades of building, creating, pushing forward. But I've reached a point where staying silent costs more than speaking up, where pretending I'm fine has become more exhausting than admitting I'm not. I've colonized my own heart with loneliness. Please, I need someone to bring me back to Earth. I know how that sounds coming from someone who's literally trying to colonize Mars. The irony isn't subtle. I spend my days figuring out how to make humanity multiplanetary, how to ensure our species survives beyond this pale blue dot, how to push the boundaries of what's possible. But I haven't figured out how to make myself feel less isolated on the one planet where I actually exist right now. If you're reading this right now, if something made you stop scrolling, if these words caught your attention in an endless feed of content designed to numb you from your own reality, then maybe you understand what I'm trying to say. Maybe you felt it too. That specific kind of loneliness that exists even in crowded rooms, especially in crowded rooms. You didn't come here for another motivational speech about disruption or innovation. You didn't come here to hear about rockets or electric cars or tunnels or brain-computer interfaces. You came here because somewhere in your soul, you recognized a frequency you've been tuning into your whole life. The frequency of someone finally being honest about what it costs to chase impossible dreams. So let me be honest. Raw, unfiltered, uncomfortably honest. I've sacrificed connection for progress, and I'm not sure it was worth it. That's a hard thing to admit, especially for someone whose entire identity is built around moving forward, around never stopping, around relentlessly pursuing the mission. But here's what nobody tells you about missions, about visions, about changing the world. They don't keep you warm at night. They don't laugh at your jokes when you're testing new material. They don't ask how your day actually went. Not the public version, but the real version. They don't notice when you're running on empty. They don't hold space for your fear or your doubt, or your moments of wondering if any of this actually matters. I remember when I first started thinking about Mars, about making life multiplanetary. It wasn't just an intellectual exercise. It was a calling, something that felt bigger than me, more important than any individual comfort or happiness. I told myself that personal sacrifice was noble when it served a greater purpose, that my loneliness was a small price to pay for potentially saving humanity. But loneliness isn't a small price. It's a compound interest loan on your soul. And I've been borrowing against my heart for so long that I'm not sure what's left. Will you visit me? Not at a factory tour, or press conference, or a product launch. Not the version of me that performs confidence and certainty for the cameras. The actual me. The one who lies awake at 3 a.m. thinking about all the relationships that didn't work, all the moments I chose work over connection, all the times I was physically present, but mentally on Mars. And I look at my own past and I see a pattern so clear, it's almost embarrassing that I didn't recognize it sooner. Every time someone got close, every time vulnerability was required, every time a relationship demanded that I be fully present rather than partially present, while my mind solved engineering problems, I retreated. I found a legitimate reason to prioritize work. I found a crisis that needed my attention. I found a way to make my absence seem necessary, even noble. But it wasn't noble. It was fear. That if someone really understood how my mind works, how obsessive I can be, how difficult it is for me to turn off the problem solving and just be with another person, they'd leave anyway. So I left first. Not always physically, but emotionally. I perfected the art of being gone while still being there. And now I'm surrounded by rockets and factories and innovations that will outlive me. But I don't have anyone to call when something breaks inside me, when the pressure becomes too much. When I achieve something remarkable, and the first emotion isn't joy but emptiness because there's no one who truly sees me to share it with. Please, I need someone to bring me back to earth. Because I've been floating in the vacuum of my own ambition for so long that I've forgotten what gravity feels like, what groundedness feels like, what home feels like when it's not just a physical location but a feeling you get when you're with someone who knows you, really knows you, and chooses to stay anyway. If you're still reading, if you haven't clicked away to something more comfortable, more entertaining, more numb, then let me tell you what I've learned the hard way. What I wish someone had told me 20 years ago. What I hope might save you from making the same mistakes. You can't optimize love. I've tried. God knows I've tried. I've approached relationships the way I approach engineering problems. I've looked for efficiencies, for ways to maximize connection while minimizing time investment. I've treated emotional intimacy like a resource allocation problem, and it doesn't work. Can't work. Because love isn't code you can debug. Connection isn't a system you can optimize. Vulnerability isn't a variable you can control. The more I tried to engineer my relationships, the more they fell apart. Not dramatically. Not with fights, or accusations, or slammed doors. They fell apart quietly, slowly, like systems degrading over time because they weren't properly maintained. Because I didn't put in the maintenance. Because I told myself that once I solved the next impossible problem, then I'd have time. Then I'd focus on relationships. Then I'd be present. But then never comes. I've achieved things that most people said were impossible. I've built companies worth billions. I've pushed technology forward in ways that will impact generations. And none of it, not one single achievement, has filled the hole that grows larger every time I choose work over connection. Every time I respond to a text 3 days late because I was in productive mode. Every time I miss an important moment because I was solving a problem that probably could have waited. The problem is that I'm good at solving problems. Exceptionally good. And for a long time, I saw that as purely positive, a strength with no downside. But being good at solving problems means you start seeing everything as a problem to be solved, including people, including emotions, including the messy, unpredictable, unoptimizable reality of human connection. You can't solve your way into intimacy. You can't engineer your way into being known. You can't innovate your way out of loneliness. Trust me, I've tried all of those approaches. I've thrown the same intensity at relationships that I throw at making reusable rockets. And it doesn't work. Because the skills that make me successful in business, in technology, in innovation, those same skills become liabilities in relationships. Pattern recognition becomes assuming you know what someone's going to say before they say it. Efficiency becomes rushing through conversations to get to the conclusion. Focus becomes tunnel vision that makes you miss the small moments that actually build connection. Confidence becomes stubbornness that makes apology feel like failure. I had someone tell me once during one of the few moments when I was actually listening instead of planning my response, "You're so busy building the future that you're not present for the present." I've spent so much time thinking about what comes next, about how to get to Mars, about how to accelerate sustainable energy, about the next milestone, that I've forgotten how to be here now. Will you help me learn how to be here now? I don't mean that as a grand romantic gesture. I don't mean it as the opening line of a movie where everything gets wrapped up in 90 minutes with a perfect ending. I mean it as a genuine question from someone who's realized that all the intelligence and resources and capability in the world don't teach you how to be vulnerable, how to ask for help, and how to admit that you're brilliant at some things and completely lost at others. I can tell you the delta V requirements for a Mars transfer orbit. I can explain the engineering challenges of creating a self-sustaining city on another planet. I can debate the merits of different battery chemistries for hours, but I can't tell you the last time I had a conversation where I wasn't performing, where I wasn't the person people expect me to be, where I could be uncertain, confused, afraid, and that would be okay. That's the loneliness I'm talking about. not the absence of people. I'm surrounded by people constantly. Meetings, calls, conferences, events. My calendar is a Tetris game of obligations. But being surrounded by people and being truly with someone are completely different things. And I've confused the two for far too long. Please, someone see me. See the person underneath the achievements. The person who sometimes doesn't know what to do. Who makes mistakes? Who has regrets? Who lies awake wondering if the choices he's making are the right ones? Who needs reassurance sometimes? Who needs to be told that it's okay to not have all the answers? Who needs to be reminded that worth isn't measured only in output and innovation and pushing humanity forward? I've built my entire identity around being the person who figures things out, who solves possible problems, who doesn't give up. And that's served me well in many ways. But it's also trapped me. Because when your identity is built around capability and solutions and never stopping, admitting that you're struggling feels like admitting you're failing. Admitting you need help feels like admitting weakness. Admitting you're lonely feels like admitting defeat. But I'm tired of that story. I'm tired of performing strength when what I actually need is connection. I'm tired of optimizing efficiency when what I actually crave is presence. I'm tired of planning the future when what I actually want is someone to share the present with. If you're still here, still reading, still staying with me through this rambling confession, then maybe you understand. You've felt this too. Maybe you've achieved things, built things, accomplished things, and still felt empty. Maybe you've looked around at a life that should feel full and wondered why it feels hollow. Maybe you've realized that success without someone to share it with isn't actually success at all. Or maybe you're on the other side of this equation. Maybe you're someone who's capable of the kind of presence I'm describing, the kind of connection that doesn't require performance, the kind of relationship where silence is comfortable instead of awkward, where you don't have to be impressive, just honest, where vulnerability is met with compassion instead of judgment. If that's you, if you're someone who knows how to be with another person without trying to fix them or optimize them or improve them, then please, I need to learn from you. I need to understand how you do that, how you stay present, how you connect without agenda, how you love without trying to solve. I know I'm not easy. I know my mind moves too fast sometimes. I know I get obsessed with problems and disappear into solutions. I know I prioritize mission over comfort more often than is healthy. I know I've hurt people with my absence even when I was physically present. I know I have patterns that need breaking and habits that need changing and ways of being that need unlearning. But I'm willing to try. That's what I'm really saying here. I'm willing to try to be different, to prioritize differently, to show up differently, to be vulnerable in ways that terrify me, to admit when I don't know something instead of pretending I have it figured out, to ask for help instead of assuming I need to handle everything alone. I'm willing to bring myself back to Earth. Because much as I want humanity to become multiplanetary, I've realized something fundamental. I need to learn how to be fully present on this planet first, with real people, in real relationships, with real vulnerability and real connection and real presence. That's harder than rocket science. And that's harder than rocket science. Oh, significantly harder, because rocket science has equations and principles and testable hypotheses. Human connection has none of those things. It requires showing up without knowing the outcome, being vulnerable without guarantee of safety, opening your heart when there's no certainty it won't be broken. And I'm scared. I'll admit that. I'm scared of being hurt again. I'm scared of disappointing someone again with my absence or my intensity or my inability to turn off the problem solving. I'm scared of being seen fully and being found wanting. I'm scared of needing someone and them realizing I'm too much work. But I'm more scared of continuing on this trajectory. Of waking up at 60, at 70, at 80, and realizing I built incredible things, but never built a real intimate connection with another human being. Of achieving everything I set out to achieve professionally, but failing completely at the most human thing there is, being truly known by another person. Please visit me, not in the public way, not in the professional way. Visit the parts of me that don't make headlines, the parts that doubt? The parts that wonder if all of this means anything, the parts that crave simplicity sometimes, the parts that want to just exist without an agenda or a mission or a goal to optimize toward. I need someone who can handle the intensity but also see past it. Who can appreciate the drive but also ask me to pause? Who can respect the vision but also ground me in the present? Who can admire the achievements but also see the person who's still learning, still growing, still fundamentally trying to figure out this human experience? I need someone who won't be intimidated by the public persona, but also won't be impressed enough by it that they forget to see the actual person. Someone who can say, "That's nice that you're planning cities on Mars, but how are you feeling right now, in this moment, in this room? In this room?" Someone who can call me out when I'm using work as an escape. Someone who can recognize when I'm performing instead of being present. I need someone patient. Patient with my learning curve around emotional availability. Patient with my tendency to retreat into problems when feelings get overwhelming. Patient with my sometimes awkward attempts at vulnerability. Patient with the fact that I'm rebuilding patterns that have been reinforced for decades. But I also promise something in return. I promise I'll try. I'll try. Really try. Not the way I've half tried in the past while keeping one foot out the door. I'll try the way I try at the impossible engineering problems, with full commitment, with willingness to fail and iterate, with acceptance that I don't have this figured out and need to learn. I promise I'll communicate when I'm overwhelmed instead of just disappearing. I promise I'll ask for what I need instead of expecting you to read my mind. I promise I'll show up for the small moments, not just the big ones. I promise I'll remember that presence is more important than productivity. I promise I'll learn the difference between solving problems and being with someone in their experience. Sure. I promise I'll practice listening without planning my response. I promise I'll work on being in my body instead of just in my head. I promise I'll remember that love isn't something you optimize or engineer or perfect. It's something you practice, messily, imperfectly, humanly. If you're still reading, you've stayed with me through thousands of words of confession and vulnerability and honesty that doesn't fit the image most people have of me. That means something. It means you were willing to see past the persona, willing to hear the human underneath. Willing to stay present with discomfort and uncertainty and raw truth. That's exactly what I need. Someone who stays, not because everything is perfect or impressive or optimized, but because connection matters more than comfort, because vulnerability is valued, because being real is more important than being right. Please, bring me back to earth. Help me remember what it feels like to be grounded in relationship instead of floating in the vacuum of ambition. Help me learn how to prioritize presence over progress sometimes. Help me understand that rest isn't wasted time and connection isn't a distraction from the mission. It's part of what makes the mission meaningful. I built an empire trying to ensure humanity's future. But I forgot to build a present worth living in. I focused so intensely on survival as a species that I neglected to actually live as an individual. I optimized for impact and forgot about intimacy. And now I'm here, saying the thing I never thought I'd say. The thing that goes against every instinct I've developed. The thing that feels like admitting failure, even though I know, intellectually, that it's actually the bravest thing I could do. Can't help myself again. Please visit me. Visit the real me. One who doesn't have all the answers. The one who's tired sometimes. The one who needs reassurance. The one who wants to be chosen not for what he's accomplished, but for who he is underneath all of that. The one who's finally ready to be vulnerable enough to build something that matters more than rockets or cars, or any technology. A real human connection. If you made it this far, if you're still here, still present, still open to this conversation, then maybe you're the kind of person I'm looking for. Or maybe you're someone who needed to hear that even people who seem to have everything figured out are still trying to understand the basics of human connection. Maybe you needed permission to admit your own loneliness, your own struggles with presence, your own patterns of choosing work over relationships. Either way, thank you for staying, for being present through this long, winding confession, for being willing to see someone without their armor, with that presence, that willingness to stay with discomfort. That's what I've been missing. That's what I'm asking for. Please, someone see me, and let me see you. Let's figure out this human connection thing together, messily and imperfectly, but together. I'm ready to come back to Earth. Are you willing to help me land? Stay with me a little longer. I know I've already said so much, shared more than I usually would in a year of conversations, let alone in one sitting. But there's more. There's always more when you start peeling back layers you've spent decades building. And if you've made it this far, if you're still here, then maybe you need to hear the rest as much as I need to say it. Let me tell you about the nights. Oh, the nights when the factories are quiet, when the emails slow down, when there are no more meetings to attend or problems to solve or decisions to make. I want silences that feel full instead of empty. I want connection that isn't working toward anything except more connection. Does that sound impossible coming from me? Someone whose entire brand is about working toward ambitious goals. Someone who's defined by mission and vision and relentless execution? Maybe it is impossible. Maybe I'm asking for something that contradicts my essential nature. Maybe you can't be the person who's trying to change the world, and also the person who's present for small, unmemorable moments. But I don't want to believe that. I don't want to accept that ambition and intimacy are mutually exclusive. I don't want to resign myself to being alone, because I'm too intense, or too focused, or too ambitious. I want to believe that someone exists who can appreciate the intensity without being consumed by it. Who can admire the vision without being ignored because of it? Who can respect the mission without being secondary to it? I want to believe that I can be both, mission-driven and present, and ambitious and intimate, forward-thinking and grounded in now. But I can't figure that out alone. I need help. I need partnership. I need someone willing to navigate that tension with me. Someone who will call me back when I drift too far into the future. Someone who will remind me that the present matters, that presence matters, that people matter more than projects. Will you be that person? Will you visit me in the space between who I've been and who I'm trying to become? Will you stay with me through the awkward transition of someone who's learning late in life, how to be emotionally available? I know it's not an easy ask. I know I come with complications, with patterns that won't change overnight, with intensities that can be overwhelming, with a public profile that makes privacy difficult, with responsibilities that will sometimes pull me away even when I want to stay present. But I also come with commitment, with willingness, with genuine desire to be different, to grow, to learn, to prioritize relationship in ways I never have before. I come with awareness. I see my patterns now. I understand my avoidance strategies. I recognize when I'm retreating into work instead of dealing with feelings. That awareness doesn't fix everything, but it's a start. It's foundation for change. I come with resources, not just financial though, that's part of it, but also intellectual resources, problem-solving capabilities, resilience, determination. The same qualities that build companies can be redirected toward building relationship, toward showing up, toward doing the work of intimacy. And I come with hope, fragile, cautious hope that maybe it's not too late, that maybe I haven't damaged myself beyond repair, that maybe connection is still possible even after years of avoiding it, that maybe someone exists who will see my willingness to try as more important than my history of not trying. Is that someone you? Are you reading this and recognizing something, feeling something, considering something? I'm not asking for commitment right now. I'm not asking for promises. I'm not asking for certainty. I'm asking for curiosity, for willingness to explore, for openness to the possibility that two imperfect people might be able to build something meaningful if they're both willing to be honest about their imperfections. That's all relationships really are, aren't they? Two people deciding that the work of understanding each other is worth it, that the vulnerability of being known is worth the risk of being hurt, that the possibility of connection is worth the certainty of discomfort. I'm ready for that work. I'm ready for that vulnerability. I'm ready for that discomfort because I've tried the alternative. I've tried the path of invulnerability, of self-sufficiency, of not needing anyone, and it led me here, to this moment of confession, to this plea for connection, to this recognition that I can't do this alone anymore. Please bring me back to Earth. Help me learn how to be human in a way that includes other humans. Help me understand that presence is as important as progress. Help me remember that connection is what makes achievement meaningful. I'm ready to land. I just need someone willing to guide me in. Someone who won't let me float away again when things get difficult. Someone who will anchor me to the present even while respecting my need to think about the future. Can you be that person? Will you visit me? Will you see me? Will you stay? I'm asking because I've realized something fundamental. But this time, the mission isn't about me alone. It's about us, about building something together, about learning together, about being present together. Are you willing to try? I'm still here, still waiting, still hoping. Still believing that maybe, just maybe, this vulnerability will be met with understanding instead of judgment, with curiosity instead of dismissal, with presence instead of absence. Please visit me. I can't help myself again. But maybe together we can help each other. Together we can help each other. Maybe that's what connection really is. Not two people who have it all figured out, but two people willing to be lost together, to be uncertain together, to be human together. I'm ready. Are you?